What is up, guys? It is Aaron. Welcome back to the channel. Feels a bit weird doing that in here. Wait, why would it do? I do it all the time. But it feels weird because I'm doing something different in the garage. Today I have a new RC car that I bought. It is from Acme. It's the Acme Flash 1/10 scale 2-wheel drive electric off-road buggy. And the box says 1/10 scale, but in true form it is actually 1/8 scale, because when you actually measure it up, 1/10 scale RC cars are usually around about 300 millimeters length, just roughly around about there. This one's length is 476 millimeters, so it's almost 500 millimeters, which is 50 centimeters long, which is quite big for the 1/10 scale. So that's why the website that I bought off of, Nitrotech. I usually buy a lot of my RCs off of Nitrotech, actually. Some other websites here and there, but mainly Nitrotech that I buy my RCs off of, because it's quick delivery, all that other kind of crap. This is non-paid, by the way, so that's just a website I would recommend if you're in the UK or in the UK mainlands or something like that. That I would highly recommend buying from them, because you get 24-hour delivery or something like that. No, 48-hour delivery free of charge before 12 p.m. So that's 12 a.m. That's 12 p.m. British time, UK time. So yeah, the height of the car off the ground is 186 millimeters. The width of the car is 290, and as I said, the length of the car is 476 millimeters. The gear ratio is 10.86 to 1 ratio, which is quite a large gap, to be honest. And I did go for a little run around in just the place that I stay at my grandparents', and I did notice that it did feel a bit under geared, if I'm going to be honest. They probably could have gone off a couple of gears on the spur or the other gear that I can't remember the name of. Here is what the car looks like. As you can see, it is quite a bit bigger, and this bit here, I really like this bit here, but it is kind of awkward. Awkward this car is, unfortunately. This is a really, really nice scale looking desert buggy, truck, whatever you want to call it. Well, obviously not a truck, but just a buggy, desert buggy, whatever kind of buggy you want to call it, it's a buggy. But what they have gained in realistics standpoint of view is giving up ease for getting into the body pins, the motor, the battery case, disconnecting the lights. This thing comes with lights, and it is kind of really awkward to get the body position, the body clips in, because there's a body clip under here, and these body clips here are fine, and it's just kind of awkward, really. And taking the whole body off is really awkward as well. And it's not complaints, really. It's just things to work on, really, to give your cars more space, really, in the future, just to give your cars a little bit more space for the electronics, for everything else, all these little things here and there. So I'm taking some of the plastic off this front part here. And if none of you actually know, all RCs come with a protective plastic saran wrap type of thing on the shell. I know it looks nice and shiny, but see here, I'm just taking this bit off, and you get the real effect of the paint once you take these off, and it looks really, really nice and a lot better. And bodies are always paid on the inside, so you don't have to worry about scratching up on the outside, because the paint is actually on the inside of the shell. Suspension is long travel, fully adjustable suspension, so you can harden them by turning a part here, or make them more softer. And I prefer a mid-range where it's nice and soft, but not too bouncy. So it's just in a nice mid-range of being nice and, like, if it's going over rough terrain, it can just be nice and flush with the ground, basically, and you're not having to worry about it bumping all over the flipping place. Full ball bearings all the way around, which is really nice. That you don't really expect that from a two-wheel drive car. Usually you'll expect that with a four-wheel drive car with full ball bearings all the way around, but this has full ball bearings all the way around, which is really nice, and I really like that bit of extra mile they went to for that, because usually if it's a two-wheel drive truck, they'll just have the front, or any two-wheel drive car really, they'll just have the front as solid, not pillow balled or anything like that, and the rears will be on ball points and ball joints or whatever. And it's really nice that they've done that, because that makes all the suspension equal, and it means that the suspension won't be jamming up if you've damaged something here and there, or something's a little bit bent. It won't jam up. It'll just be a bent piece, and you'll have to replace that, and nothing else will get damaged. Now, I paid £180 around about there for that RC car. Now you'd expect the remote to be very high, very sophisticated kind of remote, like a GT3 or a FS GT2 or something like that. Focus camera. There you go. But no, they include this, a little kid's remote. What I do like about it though is this is a really good idea. Is this button on the side takes out the batteries for it, and it takes 4 AAA batteries. And I've never had a remote that takes 4 AAA batteries before. It's always been AA batteries. So I don't know if that's just the poor quality or the laziness that they've put, or they've just been exhausted putting all this effort into this RC car to make it look realistic. They just said, fuck it, we'll just put one of these cheap fuckers in there. And yeah, I would recommend going with the brushless version, really, because between the brushless and brush, there isn't really much difference, I've heard. And I'm going to probably believe that, because if I bought a brushless version of that, I probably wouldn't see any much difference, really, with the 2 different cars. You know, handle's really nice, the tires are really, really nice on it. It's just this damn remote that is annoying me. If you pay a lot of money for something, you cannot get away with including a cheap-ass, crappy remote, I'm afraid. You cannot get away with that. I mean, it's just like... this is an RTR, so people think, oh, that's just normal for RTRs. I've had RTRs that have had the best remotes that I've ever owned in it. And, you know, to include one of these, and it was much cheaper as well. Like an RC car I could buy £125, it would have a GT3X, or a GT3, or a, something like that. One of those kind of pistol grip style remotes from FS. But... you know, I pay £180 and I get this kind of crappy remote. I'm sorry, but that's kind of being lazy. And if you pay a lot, like almost £200, you should provide a really decent remote. It does 2.4 gigahertz. It does all that kind of crap. It does the same kind of range. It's just not very comfortable. It's not very normal feeling, you know. And this is no means a kid's toy. You know, if you're wanting to get into the hobby, that is not something you should be getting into the hobby with. It should be something brushed, something smaller. You know, this... showing off this, kids are going to be like, oh, that's small enough for my hands, I can drive this. 2 days later of owning the thing, they crash it, and they break it, and then it'll never be used again and be thrown out, money wasted. So, just please don't include these kind of really bad, crappy remotes in expensive RC cars. Even cheap ones, just try and go that little extra mile for your customers. Now, I have had a 2-wheel drive buggy before. It was a Exceed RC Boost. That was one of my first RC cars ever, which is going back years and years ago. Well, not one of my first RC cars ever. It was one of my first proper hobby grade RC cars that I actually started building on, and crashed it into a million pieces. But the front tread on them wasn't really good stock, and it didn't really get a whole lot of grip up front. So that means if I was going half throttle or full throttle or something like that, or 3/4 throttle, I wouldn't get very good turning. But for this tread and the sidewalls on this are really good. The tread pattern works amazing. I've been driving it on the ice out there as well, because we've got a little patch of ice and all that other kind of stuff. And there's a little kicker as well that I like to go up and jump this with, which is really nice. It handles really nice in the air. It's got enough torque to be able to aim the nose and stuff like that. But the traction on the front tires, A+ for you guys, honestly. A+ for Acme for doing that. And you know, I've been driving on you know, gravel, well, not gravel, but concrete, that kind of stuff, and the tires don't seem to be showing any wear at the moment, at least. They don't be showing any wear just now. Maybe a slight bit of wear, but they don't really seem to be showing a lot of wear, which is really good. And I will have a full review of this for you guys as well. Spoiler, I really like as well, and the detail that they go into the body. They've even got a person that's inside the RC that you can just put inside. Well, not a real person, obviously, but a model person you can put inside to give it even more realism. But I'm not a big fan of that. It's an RC car. It's not a real car. I love scales. I love scales RC cars. That's why I bought this. But if you want to put characters and stuff inside a car to make it look more scale, then I'm just not a big fan of that, I'm afraid. I'm just not. Plus, if you crash the thing and it looks like there's someone inside of it and you have really good cinematic skills, it looks like you've probably killed someone. Another thing that they included with this car, which is with the brushed and brushless versions of this car, is lights. And what I really like about this as well is this just pops out here and goes up like that. That's what I really like. And this is what I mean by awkwardness. really. You can't take the, like I said, there are body pins. You can't take the body pins off and take the whole thing off, but I don't like doing that. It's really, really awkward to do all that. So, see what I mean by the awkwardness here? The battery goes straight in the middle. ESC is on top of the battery holder, which I really don't like. Because if your battery blows up in your car, that's your ESC gone as well. Because it's just directly on top of the ESC. And no, the ESC is directly on top of the battery. But yeah, you can just see the awkwardness in here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to, but it's really damn awkward in there. The battery as well, before I even turn the thing on, is a 2-cell 25C discharge maximum rate, 2200 mAh, 7.4 volt nickel, not nickel hydride battery, LiPo battery. And yeah, it's really good. The receiver it comes with has 4 channels, one for binding, one for channel 3, and one for throttle, and one for steering, obviously. And let me just turn on the car. Oh, it's not even plugged in. And it's all right, I guess. I mean, I don't know what that channel 3 would be used for, because there's just no room to really add anything else, to add a sound system or anything like that. I would love to add a sound system in this to give it more realism, but there's just really no room for it. So let me just turn this on. Oh, there you go. Really nice, bright LEDs, which is amazing. I really can appreciate the length they went to add these in. And what I don't like though is there's no protective screen in front of the lights. So if you crash, or if you're kicking up, or if you're in rocks and you're kicking up rocks from the front tire, from being stuck in between there, in between the tread and then kicking out, could hit the light, make it burst, and you'll have no idea how to replace them, because I have no idea how they're even in there. Because there's no wires coming out from the back. It's just all in the body and all coming out, which is really, really nice. Again, it adds a lot of scale, detail to it, but just for people trying to, just have fun with the car and wanting to replace a couple of things, it does make it really, really awkward. Now, can you upgrade in battery? Yes, of course you can. When I was out with the car, the motor didn't even seem like it was getting hot. Not just because it's cold, but I did put the thing through vigorous throttle, brake, reverse, throttle, brake, throttle, reverse, all that kind of crap for a little while, and the motor didn't even show any strain. There's a slipper clutch as well, which I'm not a big fan of on RC cars, if I'm going to be entirely honest. Because if you strip your gear, you have to take your slipper clutch out. You have to do all this other crap. So I'm going to see if I can find a slipper clutch canceller thing, or just see if I can find something to mount the gear on, so I'm not having to use that slipper clutch, because I really, really don't like slipper clutches. Really. Camber is adjustable on all 4 sides, and your toe in and toe out angle is adjustable on the front and back as well. Your camber and toe in and toe out, yeah. You can adjust the suspension to go higher or lower, but there's not really much. If anything, you'll get like a millimeter or 2 higher off the ground, but not much. No, 4 to 6 millimeters height, which isn't really much at all. And the front and the back seems the same as well. But all around, I really like this car. Even though it is kind of awkward, even though it is kind of annoying, even though you get a cheap, shitty remote. The car itself, really scale, really nice looking. It's got a lot of torque. It is not shy on torque. A little undergeared, which is why it's not shy on torque, but it's only a little bit undergeared, really. And all the differentials feel super smooth. All the bearings feel super smooth. I have nothing but props for the design that went through to this car and the extent that they went to put the detail on the body. Now, underneath as well, it just looks like your regular 8th scale plastic body. Well, not plastic body, but plastic chassis. And that is what makes it super long. And that is what makes it an 8th scale. I did measure it. Well, when I bought it, I did take out the measuring tape, measured it for my... just measured it up against some of my RC cars. It is going to be a bit longer than them, but not by much. So it is just a slight bit of difference. It's just edging into that 8th scale territory of scale-ness. So if you want to see the full review of this, stick around, because I will be doing that later this week. Later next week. Probably Monday or Tuesday or something like that, once I've had a proper time to get to use with the car, figure out its handling characteristics, and do all that other kind of stuff. So if you like the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it to friends, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!